Hello guys, full time up in Sheffield. Arsenal have won 6-0 on the road. They're record breakers, Arsenal, the first side in English football history to win 3 consecutive away games by a margin of 5 goals or more. Astonishing stuff. Good time to be an away fan, let me tell you. As an away football fan, you make a lot of journeys, you make a lot of trips, and some of them are pretty painful. A good deal of those away fans will have paid for trips out to Porto and watched one of the most dull, boring games they've ever seen, which was capped off with Porto sticking one in the net from 25 yards in the dying seconds. Well, they're getting their rewards now because Arsenal in the Premier League are really doing the business. I said Arsenal are record breakers tonight. I should just sort of qualify my analysis here by saying that I think Sheff United are on course to break some records this season too. In fact, I think their recent home run of 5-0, 5-0, 6-0 is in itself a kind of record in terms of dismal home performance. It's really interesting, isn't it? I think we've seen Arsenal in the past drawn against non-league sides in cup games who've made a better fist of matches than Sheffield United did tonight. I really do think that they let themselves down. Obviously confidence is incredibly low, but they weren't doing the basics. But Arsenal were ruthless, as they have been in recent weeks. And how many times have we been able to say that in the past, that Arsenal were ruthless? I feel like it's something that we've talked about but not necessarily seen. There's no mercy from these players. They go for the jugular, they get the goals, and when they get them they want more, and everybody wants in on the action. There's the new song that they're singing in the terraces at the moment. Who scored against such and such a team? Half the team did. Well, half the team did score tonight, and that is the remarkable strength of this team. The threat from all over the pitch. A lot of people called for a striker. I might even make it the title of this piece, because I was among them saying, look, we need this centre forward. Well, no one's talking about that right now. The goals are flowing, absolutely flowing. There was maybe one bit of bad news on the night with Gabriel Martinelli picking up an injury, but I've just seen Mikel Arteta talking to Sky. He said it's just a cut. So I think, maybe there's a risk that he misses the Brentford game on Saturday. But you wouldn't think it'd be a long absence, and I think they'll desperately want him for the Porto game, because on Tuesday night that is, and Arteta will be absolutely desperate to overturn that result. 6-0, everyone was brilliant. I thought Martin Odegaard was the pick of the bunch, really. They couldn't live with him. Bukayo Saka as well. Weirdly, Chris Wilder changed his system and set up in a back four with Austin Trusty at left back. I don't know what Austin Trusty told him about what had been happening in training when he was at Arsenal with Bukayo Saka, but it was a misguided decision. Trusty really couldn't live with Saka at all. In fact, we saw a tactical change after 15 minutes. You won't see that many times in a Premier League game. That might be a record in itself, going from a back four to a back five. It didn't really stem the tide. Arsenal just kept on coming. I have to say, we got a bit of luck in front of goal as well. It's really interesting, when we were underperforming, we'd say, look, we didn't score today, we had an XG of 2, XG of 3. When we overperform our XG, I find that we don't really talk about it, But if you look back at the night, obviously there was a deflection on that Martinelli goal. There was Bogle scoring an own goal. There were a couple of really good finishes as well, from Havertz particularly, and White. So, it's interesting, isn't it? Whether it's confidence, whatever it may be, things are just happening for us right now in the penalty box. I think Arteta will be delighted with the clean sheet as well. David Raya's up to, I think, 9 clean sheets in the Premier League this season. If you factor in his performances for Brentford as well, that puts him at the front of the race for the Golden Glove. And I think, while that is obviously partly a compliment to David himself, I think as well that the entire team deserves to take some credit from that. Martin Odegaard spoke about it in his interview with Sky after the game. It's not just about what this team does on the ball, it's how hard they work off the ball, how hard they work for each other, and it's also about the kind of tactical foundations that underpin everything. I think the system Mikel Arteta has built is so secure at this point in time that you know, it's very difficult for teams the quality of Sheffield United to get even a sniff. Early goal was always going to be important in terms of setting the tone for the game, and we got it through Martin Odegaard. I think Alan Smith on commentary said it had been coming, and it was in the 5th minute of the game, which tells you how quickly we flew out the blocks. There might have been 2 goals before then, 2 crosses flashed across the box, but we couldn't get a touch on it. Then we do get the cutback, and Odegaard's there to score what you'd call a typical Odegaard goal. Bogle with the own goal after Saka went on the outside, right-footed cross. Martinelli, deflected shot. Havertz, I love that goal from Kai Havertz. He scored goals for Arsenal this season. I think that's his 8th maybe in all competitions. But some of them have been a bit scrappy, a bit untidy. And if there was one sort of aspect of his game you'd say that he hadn't quite delivered on, I think it is in ball striking. Execution of a finish. We saw him go through, was it against Newcastle in the last game, and didn't take an opportunity from that kind of position. I really liked the confidence with which he strode onto this, buried it in the far corner. I guess maybe it's easier when you're 3-0 up to have that kind of confidence. But yeah, it could be a big moment for him. I think he's really shining in this centre-forward role. Declan Rice gets himself a goal. He played in the more advanced midfield role tonight. I was slightly surprised, to be honest, that Arteta went with Jorginho. I thought he might put Havertz in midfield and Trossard up top. But yeah, he went with Jorginho and Rice again. And it was Rice who was pushing on, popping up in those kind of Granit Xhaka positions, making those diagonal runs to the byline, into the penalty area. And he was a threat. He was a threat all game. Second half wasn't played in quite the same way. I mean, Sheffield United made a load of changes. They were a little bit more combative. Obviously, Chris Wilder, I don't know what his half-time team talk must have been. But, we kept the possession. We kept the control. William Saliba played something like 175 passes. I think it's a record for an Arsenal player in the Premier League era. Absolutely mad. And Ben White got a goal to put a little bit of extra gloss on the scoreline. And what a goal it was too. Struck it with his left foot. Yeah, I mean, following Kai Havertz's lead in that respect, lashed it into the far corner. I always feel like Ben White could get more goals. I think he's only got sort of 3 or 4 in his time at Arsenal, but I think he's capable. You think about his all-round technique. I think when he gets into those areas of the pitch, he could have more of an impact maybe. So it was nice to see him striking that ball as beautifully as he did, and yeah, always pleased to see him on the score sheet. So a really comprehensive win, thoroughly entertaining watch as well, against admittedly a very poor team. Next up it is Brentford. Now we've all got, I think, poor memories, painful memories I should say, of that fixture last season and some of the VAR controversy. If Arsenal win that one, it will be 8 consecutive league wins for the first time under Mikel Arteta. It will put us top of the league, ahead of Liverpool City the following day. And I'm just trying to work it out. I mean, we could well stay there. If that game is a draw, we could well stay there. So that's a big game. And then, of course, the rest of the month, there aren't that many fixtures. But there will be huge scrutiny and focus on the fixtures that there are. Porto on Tuesday, can we turn that round? I mean, in this form, you have to feel confident, but I think it's so important that we do. And then on the 31st, is it? Right at the end of the month, we go to the Etihad. And I think that fixture is absolutely pivotal. It's pivotal because this is the sticky part of Man City's season. When you look at the fixture list, it's the next few games where you might expect them to come a cropper is too strong, but if they're going to drop points anywhere, it feels like it'll be in the next few games, and we are one of those games. But I think it's so important for Arsenal psychologically as well. We're at that point really where it all kind of started to go wrong last season. We're approaching that point. We're getting there in much better shape. Players coming back, Thomas Partey back, Fabio Vieira back, Gabriel Jesus back tonight as well. So, we look like we're going to be entering the run-in with a squad in decent nick. But a result at City, wow. That would really change everything. I think that's the moment, probably as Arsenal fans, that we might go, maybe this is our year. At the moment, I sense a reticence to do that, partly because of last season and everything that went on, and also because this is an unusual Premier League season where you've got 3 teams very much in the hunt at this stage. I don't know if we've ever seen that before, certainly not for a long time. Not for a long time. Whether it will sustain, I don't know. But Arsenal are absolutely doing their part. Credit to the team for another amazing win. Amazing win. I mean, you know, away performances like that, the stuff of legend. And any Arsenal fan who was lucky enough to be at Bramall Lane tonight will be talking about that for some time. And as I say, look, I do want to offer some balance and say I think we might be talking about the Sheff Utd team for some time as well, for the wrong reasons, because I think they are probably the weakest Premier League side I've ever seen. Brentford will be a very different test on Saturday, an equally important one. So fingers crossed for the result there. I've been forced into the kitchen tonight by the fact that the living room's been commandeered. So I'm going to skulk back there and upload this. But I'll speak to you all soon on Saturday. Yeah, I'll be in my season ticket in the North Bank. Very much looking forward to it. Please do like the video if you did like it. And if you didn't like it, what are you doing here? Arsenal won 6-0. Come on. All right, guys, take care. Bye-bye.